Let's go to Steve Richardson from Virginia. Steve, you just have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, does that work?
It works, yes.
All right, thanks. Hey, thanks, Dave, for writing the book, and thanks for joining us again. I really enjoyed the stories, but I absolutely loved the conclusion. And there's one statement in particular that I think is worth repeating to everyone before I pose the question. You said that democracy has been broken, quote, actively and intentionally by partisans who put their narrow ideological interests above all else, who chose to aggressively suppress and ignore the will of the people rather than committing themselves to listen to and represent all the citizens of a vibrant and ever-changing nation, unquote. I believe representing all the citizens means looking beyond those who identify as party members to the 43% of voters who, as independents, do not have equal rights. You agree that both major parties have failed us, and what do you think they should do to represent us?
Yes, I think you're right. I think both parties have failed us, and I think that a two-party system has failed us. I think these two parties have failed us, and that the trouble is it's so hard to see structural ways around and through that, because of all of the things folks have identified in other questions. Districting, the primaries. We really need to fundamentally rethink all of these mechanisms. I am a big fan of a proposal by Congressman Don Beyer of Virginia, which he calls the Fair Representation Act, which would bring multi-member districts and ranked choice voting to Congress. So instead of 435 single member winner takes all districts that can be gerrymandered either to maximize one party's advantage if they control the lines, or buddy mandered by both sides to divide up the seats between the two and protect each other. What you see is multi-member seats and ranked choice voting. So you would fundamentally reimagine what's possible in Congress. I live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts has had one Democratic governor since Michael Dukakis. So there are Republicans who live here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. But the state's congressional delegation is 9-0, and there hasn't been a Republican elected to the House from Massachusetts since 1994. So if you're a Republican in Massachusetts, if you're an independent, you're not really represented very well here. You know, I'd say the same if you're a Democrat in Kansas or Oklahoma or, you know, a lot of other places. So if you were to divide Massachusetts into 3 districts of 3 and use ranked choice voting to elect members, you would suddenly completely change who gets elected and who gets sent to Washington. And then you would also change how they're incentivized to vote once they're there. You know, you might see 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans and 2 independents represented out of Massachusetts. Those Republicans might be the kind of liberal Republicans that I grew up with in Connecticut, like, you know, Lowell Weicker and Stuart McKinney, you know, folks who were, I mean, heroes of mine growing up. You might get conservative Democrats out of, you know, Kansas and Oklahoma who could be bridge builders to the other side. I think that's the kind of thing that we're lacking is, you know, you see it in the voting records of members and the ideological position of members. It's all just gotten pushed so off to the left and to the right, and you've lost that entire overlap in the middle where the art of politics as trying to build consensus and solve problems has just disappeared. And I think we have to really reimagine the system if we want to get a different outcome.